Operators of Lifestar are declaring their own emergency. The medical chopper says proposed cuts in state funding could ground the life-saving service. Meanwhile, one state senator has proposed some controversial cuts elsewhere in order to save Lifestar.
We carry all the bells and whistles that Hartford Hospital would have.
Lifestar flight nurse Heather Bunkley has been to almost every single town in the state. She knows when they're called, life hangs on the line for someone, somewhere.
I've taken care of babies that are less than 5 kilograms. Trauma is truly about 40% of our flight volume. The rest is the acute medical, such as heart attack, stroke victim, aneurysm.
That's why the Lifestar crew, alongside Democratic lawmakers today, urged Governor Jody Rell to restore the $1.4 million she is proposing to cut from the Lifestar program.
Save Lifestar so Lifestar can save lives.
But the governor says not so fast. She says state funding is a subsidy that accounts for only a portion of the overall $7 million program.
Every one of the cuts that we have been looking at, as I say, no one wants to make them, but we're facing an $8 billion shortfall.
And while the governor says difficult times do call for difficult decisions, Senator Edith Craig, a Democrat who represents several eastern Connecticut towns, including Norwich, urged the governor to find the money elsewhere.
I mean, how many deputy commissioners do we continue to need? There are 5 UConn campuses around the state. Maybe there could be a consolidation.
But with budget talks already flatlining, closing college campuses to help out a private hospital won't fly with some. And here now, making his case, is the Vice President of Hartford Hospital, Mr. Kevin Kinsella. Thank you so much for being here, sir. I guess, first of all, this is what I'd like to ask you. Governor Rell is saying this is just a subsidy. Times are tough. She said it's like $1.4 million of your $7 million budget that basically everyone needs to get by and make do. You're saying you can't make do, or what is it that you're saying? Respond to that.
Well, Lifestar, it's about 30 years old now, and it services the entire state. It just doesn't serve Hartford Hospital. We bring patients, for instance, from Sharon Hospital, from Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, into Hartford Hospital, St. Francis, Yale, New Haven. Last couple of years, we took 73 burn patients to Bridgeport Hospital. So it's not just a exclusively a Hartford Hospital program. We have made cuts at Hartford Hospital, but this is a statewide program that is a $7 million program, and the subsidy essentially represents what we collect versus what it cost us to run the program.
Meaning that if you're serving the state should chip in.
In most states, that's the way it works, and in fact, some states, the state runs the service itself. In this state, Hartford Hospital runs the service and has been running it for over 30 years.
So when would you see? First, it was perhaps one of the choppers would be grounded. You're also based in Norwich. But then some were saying at the press conference a few days ago that at times, potentially both could be grounded. Is that true?
Well, I think a lot of it is speculation. I think we have to see what happens with the legislature and the governor around the budget negotiations. We're hopeful that the subsidy will be restored. If it isn't, we're going to have to take a look at how we can run the service for less.
And the end of the fiscal year, of course, is the end of this month. So some were saying time is ticking, that we could see an impact by the end of the month if that subsidy is not restored, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 graphics. I actually posted this story on Facebook, and here were 2 reactions I got from folks on Facebook wanting to know this question. Here's one. This is Sue, and she said, my Lifestar trip cost $10,000 to travel from Hartford to Springfield in 2001. It took about 10 minutes in the air, so if they charge insurance companies $1,000 a minute, there must be money somewhere. What would you say to that?
Well, first of all, I hope she's feeling better, and I hope she's okay.
She is okay,
and,
yes.
and there certainly was a reason to fly her to Springfield. Someone determined, some medical person determined that it was necessary to do so. Secondly, we do have insurance rates. We have Medicare rates, and we also have Medicaid rates. And we don't ask, when people call, we don't ask whether they're insured or not.
No.
Over 30% of the people that we fly do not have any insurance.
Well, let's go to the other. This is from Doug, and this is what Doug wrote in response to Senator Prague proposing, hey, she'd rather see college campuses consolidated than Lifestar be in jeopardy. And Doug wrote this: if you shut down Lifestar, people will die. If you shut down a campus or portions of one to save Lifestar, people may need to transfer from colleges, of course, but he believes that is the better option. And of course, I'm not asking you to weigh in on closing campuses, but it's definitely something that people are talking about as far as, you know, the state giving money to a private company, in essence. But you're saying that Lifestar serves the state. If you, again, had to make your final
First of all, we're a
case.
not-for-profit hospital,
Yes.
and we service the entire state. We're the only air ambulance service licensed by the federal government and the state in Connecticut. Most all states have Lifestar or air ambulance type services. And, you know, another way to look at this, if the federal government or the state government raised their rates for each flight, there wouldn't be a state subsidy.
Yeah.
We have probably reached the maximum of what we can charge commercial patients for our flights. This is something that we're all in together, and it's something that we hope will get resolved in the next month.
Rachel Frank had done a story previously, and she reported that one of the two choppers can get to anyone, anywhere in Connecticut within 20 minutes.
That's correct.
That's impressive.
It is impressive because even though this is a small state, sometimes it's difficult to get east to west, as you know.
As I know, we travel it too.
Right. It's easier to get north to south. And as I said before, we often fly, for instance, patients from New Milford Hospital to Hartford. We also fly patients to Massachusetts, to Boston, and we fly patients to Springfield. We fly children to Connecticut Children's Medical Center and Yale New Haven Hospital.
Mr. Kinsella, thank you so much for spending some time with us here Sunday morning. We really appreciate it. Keep us posted on what